budget here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tom Spangler, Knox County Sheriff, 400 Main Avenue.
And do your best to speak real, these
Sorry, is that better?
Got to really jam on it here.
I'm vertically challenged stature here. This thing is. I'll adjust it for the mayor here shortly. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you all. I want to address you all, and first of all, I want to say thank you to the mayor's office and to Chris Caldwell and his staff. I know that they diligently worked on this budget and also with my request. I wouldn't be doing my part if I didn't come back up here and asking the commission to at least look at our officers again and asking. I think I've asked for right around 8%, I believe is what it was, and we're getting right at 5%. And I'm very grateful for that. And I know the men and women are grateful for that as well. But I'm going to at least ask you all to reconsider to maybe add those 3 other steps in for those people that are captains and below that are under the mayor count. Those individuals haven't slowed down. And the reason I'm asking this is twofold. One is we keep falling further and further behind our sister agency of KPD. Even with this increase here, we're still going to fall right around $1,400 on our starting salary with them. And I know that doesn't sound like an awful lot, but you know when you have family and our young officers that are coming on board, they're always looking for anything and everything they can. So that's one of the reasons. The other big reason is being able to retain, being able to recruit officers. We all know how things are today. And I've gone around some of our local agencies, sheriff's offices locally, and just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, I think it's either next month or July, the plant over in Oak Ridge is getting ready to hire another, I think I'm hearing 50 to 75 more people, so we can consider and count on losing at least, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 6 or whatever. Talked to the sheriff over in Anderson County day before yesterday, he's losing 4 to the plant. We can't compete with that. No, there's no county government, city government that can compete with that, but when they leave our agency to take a job, that starts them out anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 more. I understand we can't compete with that. We're not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to. But we've got to be able to retain them. So that's why I'm asking for that. Just to give you an idea, real quick, our starting salary for our base pay for Knox County, the patrol officer is $38,875.75, and our corrections is $34,329.21. You have other agencies that we have spoken with and gotten their salaries. Part of that is they also have a little bit more benefits. They also insurance is paid, and I understand too that it's different here. I understand that. But that's not what, when people come to work here, what they look at. They look at those benefits. They look at that starting salary. And, you know, I guess I could be one of those. I can remember when I first started here. I didn't think about retirement. I didn't think about putting money back for retirement. I can tell you once I got about 15 years in, I started thinking, why didn't I do that? You know, and we tried to educate our officers. Look, early on, you need to start that. Lenore City PD starts at $48,482. They also have a standard benefits of 90% employer paying for single health and 80% paying for family. Clinton PD starts out at 35. It's a little less, but they have standard benefits. But they also have something I want to ask this commission to work on, and that is the TCRS insurance or retirement. I think it's imperative that something else that we look at to be able to retain those individuals. Maryville PD, 40,000 starting out. We also are looking at overtime. This is just a couple of them, and we're doing a salary survey right now, so hopefully we'll get that in too. But I think I have to come up here. I'm begging you all to at least consider if there's any way, and Chris, I know when I walk out of here, you're going to have me in cuffs. I understand. It's hard to be able to come to a commission and ask them for those things, but you know, if I don't go after a career development program, which I'm working on right now, and bring that to you all, unfortunately, anything and everything I bring to you is going to cost money, and I understand that. But I'm just asking you to at least consider here what we're trying to do, what we want to do for the officers to make sure that we retain those employees, not just the officers, but also our administrative staff, our civilian staff that is there, everybody within that agency. During the COVID, I know I came to this commission asking for that $1,500. There was people in there that didn't get that $1,500, but they were support staff. They were there. Our support staff within our teleserve unit, we can't operate, our officers cannot operate that agency without those people. So I want to make sure that you understand that I'm asking for everybody within this agency, and that's who I represent. Commissioners, thank you.
Any questions for Sheriff Spangler from Commissioner Daly?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheriff, how many patrol officers do you have out there?
Well, you talking about certified, you talking about uniformed people in a patrol car, you talking about detectives?
I'm talking about people in the patrol car.
People
You and I
in-
spoke, I'm for the guy that used to back out.
Well, I understand that the detectives are also doing that as well. So, when you talk about patrol people, yeah, they are the backbone because they're visible outside. They're out there in that traveling vehicle, if you would. As far as patrol officers, I'm guessing when I tell you this right offhand, probably about 120, somewhere around there.
How many, you can get these numbers later.
Yes, okay.
Just guessing, how many corrections?
Corrections are
Everyone in corrections out there, they're dealing with that.
Absolutely. And what they did, and I say they because they get all the credit for it, what they did during COVID was above approach. When we had, I think I was told, out of, when it started 1,200 inmates, we had 55 people that ended up getting COVID out there, and we were able to isolate that and not spread. What a job those people did. So that number, you're probably looking at close to 400.
Two more questions. Patrol captain or captains, do they get out and patrol or?
Yes.
So
Yes,
when we ask for captains in below, they're out there.
Yes, we are.
And how much is that 3%?
Well, it's a three-step, and each step is, and Chris can answer that question, right around $320 a step, something like that.
Approximately $900,000 a step, we sing. Oh, for all three. So just under $1 million for all three. And just to point out too, on our budget proposal, pages 29, 30, and 31 have head counts. And it breaks it down to patrol, the different head counts as well. So it needs to be some of the answers you're looking for right here.
But just confirm, Chris, that's 900,000 total. Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Commissioner Schumacher.
Thank you, Chairman Jay. Good afternoon, Sheriff. On page 18 of our summary by fund, in your budget originally you asked for, under patrol and cops universal, whatever designation that is, 77.3 million, and you were approved for 74.6 million. So was that some part of the $1 million for the raises, and then what was the additional amount that you were looking for?
The additional amount, with the three steps that I was asking for.
Well, if you take 77.3 and subtract 74.6, that's almost $3 million. So $1 million was salaries. What was the other $2 million for? And that's okay. Do you remember what that was?
I don't have, let me see if Allison.
If you could, Allison, just state your name and your department for the record, please.
Allison Rogers, Knox County Sheriff's Office, Finance Director. Chris called on his staff, they actually did all the salaries and benefits for the proposal. Sorry. They actually figured all the salaries and benefits. We did turn in 8%. So you're going to ask for 8% for everyone, well, for captains and below, and then 4% for civilians. But that is calculated in finance. We did not do that calculation.
Did you want to add anything? Just
You
again.
see what I'm talking about on page 18?
The only other expenses that would have been in there is things that we went over with the sheriff and Allison, where we reduced operating expenses, maybe in the contractual services or supplies. But they work in content with those.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Your other questions, Ms. Hill?
Good afternoon. Sheriff, did you say you wanted them to be a part of TCRS? Did I hear that right?
Yes,
As opposed to
the 401K.
that they have now?
Those who are not under the UR.
Oh, all right, so you're talking about, your newer.
Yes, the
Newer
current ones
hires.
who are not covered, it was kind of, yes.
Got you, all right, thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Caldwell, I thought the sheriff deputies that are not on the ULOC were on a hybrid. Is it a straight 401K? What is the county match on that 401K?
It's a STAR plan, it's called the STAR plan. It's the officers put in 6%, the county matches 10, and there's a 2% MERP on top of that. So it's basically, they put in 6 and get a 12% match. But it's straight DC.
And the state plan, I think, requires, and I'm probably wrong about this, but a match from the county of 9%.
I don't know, I have to look, I'm not certain. Could be higher. Mr. Biggs?
Thanks, Sheriff. Sheriff, you spoke about losing officers to other departments, due to pay. I mean, I understand, well, I could definitely understand, but can you tell me how many were down because of that? Like, what is our loss of officers right now that we're trying to compensate for, patrol or whatsoever?
Excuse me, patrol and corrections, either way, they're either going to a job that pays more or either getting out of law enforcement altogether, one or the other. That's the two things that on our exit interviews that we've had the most since January anyway. And, you know, those numbers, I think we lost 3 correction officers last week. 2 are going to something completely outside of it, and another one is moving out of town because of the quiet. So this is something that's continuing, and for them to just be getting out of it, either because of money or getting out of law enforcement completely. I've got to work on something to make sure that we retain those people, so.
Could you also, I didn't hear you speak earlier, but could you tell us real quick again, the amount of money that you pour into the training of these officers when we do lose?
On an average, and this is a ballpark average, we're looking at about $50,000 by the time that individual is through. And by the time they go to the academy, which is 12 weeks, and then they do a 14-week FTO program, where they ride with officers and train for those 14 weeks. And that training with not only the time that's put into it, but also compensating those officers as well. When I say compensate, you're subtracting the time that they put into it. That money, that's where we get the $50,000 from. So on an average, if we have, just to give you an example, having an academy, and you have one drop out on the first day, and they say, well, this is not what I thought it was, and then you lose 2 more, 3 weeks later, saying that they just went out of law enforcement. We're putting a lot on them, and we're expecting a lot. And I think this community and this body here expects the best that we can give them. So we're gonna make sure we keep doing it.
So it's safe to say, per X amount of patrol officers we've lost, that $50,000 worth of training goes with it.
It goes right up with what we do with the people who go to the academy. We make them sign a contract that they will stay with us for at least 3 years, and we kind of calculate that out. If they leave before that, it goes down or goes up, whichever way it may be. But we want them staying here. When that contract is signed, it's to commit themselves to the agency. When I worked over in Blount County, we did the same thing over there. But obviously, you can't get that kind of money out of them when they leave. So, it starts out, you pay the county back either $3,000 if you leave within the first year.
Is there a contractual agreement in the corrections side as well, or is it just?
No, but it's something that I asked about 2 weeks ago, so it's something that's coming.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate you.
I have a couple of questions, Sheriff Spangler, if you will. What was the last time a salary study was done to really analyze the whole marketplace and the competitive nature of other agencies in our region?
In 2016, 2017, the last salary study was done by Blue for Benowitz, Personnel Technology Group. He did one in 2000, I believe another one, several years later, the last one in 2016, 17.
Could you provide that latest report to all the commission? And then you talked about a new one being done. Is that something that's already been contracted to be done, or you're just in
Yes.
the planning phase?
No, it's already been contracted to be done, it's with Evergreen Group, and they have our information now, and are working on the salary study, they have it done in a couple of months.
Okay, so it'll be done sometime this summer. Could you also provide the commission with the contractor engagement letter with Evergreen, so you can see what the scope of work is, so better understand what they hope to look for that's different from 3 years ago? And then, Sheriff Spangler, you talked about that, especially when we talk about Oak Ridge or other agencies, it's virtually impossible to compete on a level. No matter if we raise it, they would raise it. If we raise it again, they would raise it. And this is a continuous issue. Are there other ways to incentivize people beyond base pay? I mean, have you guys looked at other ways? We're never gonna win that game. It doesn't matter what we pay. We're always gonna go somewhere else for higher pay. So it seems like we ought to find more innovative ways to figure out what is the motivation to stay on the force or to engage or to be part of our team long-term if we're always gonna lose that other variable.
And that was what I mentioned earlier, about other things to be able to do that, but it's gonna cost money. One of the things I mentioned was a career development program. Let's start with the officers that are here for a longer period of time. There are steps for them to move up. Those that don't want to be a supervisor, that's the only way that you really, outside of getting an annual raise, that's the only way that your pay goes up. So with that, there are officers, individuals who just do not want to be a supervisor, so let's find those steps to move them up to where they can, for lack of better words, there's a promotion there just in their salary. Also, tuition. Let's look at higher education. Let's start paying our officers for their associates and their bachelor's and their master's. Those are some of the things that we've been looking at now, and honestly, we looked at it this year. I just didn't put it in this budget, but I was trying to get that salary up on the beginning of it, your base salaries. So that's something that I'm going to, you can bank on, and I'm coming to you with some of those things coming up.
And then my last question is, are there any other savings, departments, attrition, positions you don't need, equipment that isn't needed? Is there any other, have you guys examined any other savings across the board that could be then, turned into, instead of just getting bigger and then adding more salaries, finding other ways to sort of be more efficient and effective, or just adapt how we do policing?
Well, and part of that was when I first came in, we did away with some of the chiefs that retired, created either correctional and or patrol positions, and that's what we'll continue to do. Those positions that we find that are not needed for those salaries, and that's what I'm gonna do with those, to keep them coming to you all and asking you for more people.
But is there anything in this budget year that you would identify as, either equipment or people that you don't need that we can?
Not an issue.
Commissioner Biggs?
How many of those chief positions did you eliminate? What was that say?
Greg and Allison, I want to say 6, I think it was.
I believe at least 4 to 6 were eliminated, in the second half of $1,000.
Is there a breakdown of that I can get with the email? Thanks.
Are there any other questions for Sheriff Spangler? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, we'll open up the floor to other